Okay, so picture this. Your team just won a playoff game by 17 points. You're moving on, so you celebrate, right? Well, not always. Today, we're diving into a fascinating story where a huge win was met with pure disgust, and the final score was the absolute last thing that mattered. So just look at this contrast. On the left, a 51-34 victory in the college football playoff. That's a solid win. But on the right, the head coach's one-word reaction? Disgust. How in the world does that happen? What could possibly be so bad about a playoff win? So yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Why wasn't this good enough? To get to the bottom of this, we've got to look way past the scoreboard and get inside the mindset of a team that isn't just playing to win. They're playing for a championship. And for them, those are two very different things. All right, first up, a tale of two halves. The key to understanding all of this, the coach's reaction, everything, it's all right there in how the game itself played out. Because honestly, it felt like two completely different games were played by the very same team. So, in the first half, Oregon looked like a juggernaut. They went into the locker room with a massive 34-6 lead. I mean, they were on fire, just completely dominant. It looked like a total blowout was in the works. The game was practically over, right? Well, then the second half happened. Suddenly, James Madison came alive, completely flipping the script and outscoring the Ducks 28-17. All that dominance from the first half, it just vanished. The killer instinct was gone, and what should have been an easy cruise to the finish line, well, it started to look kind of shaky. And if you look at the final stat line, you might think, what's the problem? I mean, over 500 yards of total offense. That's incredible. But, and this is a huge but, look closer. Those two interceptions from quarterback Dante Moore, James Madison turned those mistakes directly into 10 points. And in the playoffs, those are the kinds of mistakes that end your season. Which brings us to the man at the center of all this, Oregon's head coach, Dan Lanning. To understand his reaction, you have to understand his entire philosophy. See, for him, it's not just about getting the win. It is all about meeting a ridiculously high standard of play. After the game, reporters said he was terse, and this quote just says it all. He didn't want to talk about the win. He just said, "There's a standard here." And you can just feel the intensity in those words. For him, the team's failure to meet that standard completely overshadowed the victory. So what is this standard he's talking about? Well, he calls it championship football. And that's not just some slogan they put on a t-shirt. It's a whole mindset. It means perfect, relentless execution for the entire game. Not for a half, not just when you feel like it, from the opening kickoff to the final whistle. Period. And here, he just lays it all out there. He's basically saying, my guys know what our goal is, they know what it takes to be champions, and that performance in the second half, that wasn't it. He's sending a message not just to his team, but to everyone, that the win itself just wasn't good enough. Okay, so you've got a coach who's absolutely furious after a big win. How do the players take that? You might think they'd be a little annoyed, right? I mean, they just won a playoff game. Well, what the players had to say is maybe the most surprising part of this whole story. So let's get into it. Does a message that intense actually work? Or does it just tick off the guys who are out there battling on the field? First up, quarterback Dante Moore. He starts off by giving the players' perspective. You know, he gets it. He says, yeah, it wasn't our best game, but we won. And he's right. In the playoffs, it's survive and advance. And they survived. But then, he says this, and you gotta hear it. He says, everybody knows how Coach Lanning is. He's psycho, but he says it like it's the highest compliment in the world. He follows it up with, he's gonna put that fire under us and it's needed. That is total buy-in. The players don't just put up with this intensity, they crave it. They know it's what keeps them from getting complacent. And make no mistake, this wasn't just Coach Lanning going on a rant. This championship standard is something that echoes through the entire coaching staff. It's a culture of expectation they've built from the top down. Just listen to the defensive coordinator, Tosh Lupoi. He calls it a bittersweet feeling. He's happy they get to move on, of course, but he's also sending a warning. He knows that if they play like they did in the second half against their next opponent, well, it's not just going to be disappointing, it's going to be the end of their season. So let's tie all this together. Why does this disgust over a victory actually matter so much? Because when you're competing at this high a level, how you win can be even more important than the win itself. It tells you everything about what's coming next. See, Coach Lanning's anger wasn't really about the James Madison game. It was a message, a very loud, very clear message to his team about the monsters they have to face next. He was using this sloppy win as a wake-up call, making sure everyone knew that kind of performance would get them sent packing in the next round.
So what do we take away from all this? Well, a few things. First, a win isn't always just a win, especially when the stakes are this high. Second, that elite championship standard has to be the goal for all 60 minutes. And finally, sometimes a leader's public frustration can be the most powerful weapon against the team's worst enemy, complacency.
And that really leaves us with the million-dollar question. Sometimes an easy, comfortable win can be the worst possible thing for a team. So could this bittersweet victory, this feeling of disgust, could that actually be the fuel that drives this team all the way to a championship? We're about to find out.